I feel like Islam has taken a really big turn for the worse. I don't think that it was always this bad. I don't know what. Of course, we see what's on the news, ISIS, and ISIS got defeated recently, different insurgents groups. But I don't see it as a religion that had to take this turn. And maybe because there's over 1 billion Muslims, most of them will come out of this
No,
and not be jihadis.
no.
But
I have, I have, I have a couple of friends who are Muslims, okay, and they're really close to me. I don't mind keeping friendship with them, you understand, but at the same time, I don't want them to say respect the Quran as it's supposed to be or revered or something. Because
I heard that.
the first thing I asked them, do you think every word of Quran is true? That's the first thing I asked them. And then if they tell me that, yeah, every word is true, that's it. I walk away. I fucking no way am I talking to you.
I think a good question is, do you take the Quran literally? Because if anybody who takes like the Bible or the Quran literally
No, no,
is,
no. It's not even that. But if you look at the Quran, say, yeah, literally, exactly. Say the Sharia law, for example. If you bring in that, it's just pure shit. They just wanna cut their hands and just for being normal, just for being a person, just for being a human and experiencing life. You know, they have so much of punishments for that. Punishments is not the way for anything, man. Punishments is not gonna work for anything unless and until he's doing something really bad to the society or something. But even that does not require a fucking punishment. What it requires is a fucking talk and fucking knowledge. What can we
I
do,
will
man?
say that I have read about 60 pages of the Quran, and like in like the very first 60 pages I read, there's so much of love. There's so much talk about punishment, and if you don't do this, you'll be
Yeah,
punished like this. And it's just
yeah,
like,
yeah.
where is God in all this? I actually have a like
Exactly. That's
like
fun.
where is God at? I'm trying to find him. But like there's just okay. There's so many rules that there's no explanation to them, and there's this harsh punishment of hell for like everything. Um, let me see. Let me see if I can find a good example because like
But a spiritual person will fucking enjoy it in hell. No matter where he is, he'll be like, yeah, baby, burn. You
I mean
know.
here's something that's indicative of the Quran and the Bible. God is the patron of believers. He shall bring them out of darkness into the light. And then they don't really talk about the nature of God himself. It's all about like what human beings have to do. And if you don't do this, you'll be punished by God. Like God, there is no God
when
but
they
He.
say when they say
Huh?
darkness to light, when they say darkness to light, I see the Quran to be the embodiment of darkness, because it's closing people's minds and saying this is the only reality. There's nothing more in life. If you follow this, God is God. You'll be in the fucking heaven or fucking hell, whatever. It doesn't
And
make
it,
any fucking sense, man.
and there's weird like things about service. I mean, there's like okay, they will ask thee of the new moon. Say they are periods fixed for man's service and for pilgrimage. And it's like even like the celestial bodies themselves, the solar system is all about determining when man, how man will serve at one time or another. But it doesn't talk about man being liberated from this attachment to materialism. It just seems to talk about how we have to serve in this way at this time without any explanation. And without explanation, I just feel like there's so much potential for like failing in any spiritual religious system. And that's why I love Hinduism because there's so many explanations for like everything. And you can pick one explanation you like the best, or you can pick a number. And
Dude, dude, it's like when you, it's Hinduism is a very broad word. It's like there's
yeah,
Advaita, there's Dvaita, there's Tantra, there's Vishishtadvaita, there's Charvaka. There's so many paths, and there are so many paths. I'm sorry, and choosing your own path for you, it's yours. It's yours. Just needs you. It needs no one else. It needs no book. You don't have to follow the Bhagavad Gita to just be a Hindu, you know?
But see, the
Yeah,
Hare
people have to
Krishna will
understand that.
Hare Krishna will say that Krishna says he is the supreme and he's Vishnu, and
Well,
he says
well,
Vishnu is
yeah,
supreme,
that's not
and then we're like, okay, but that doesn't mean that that's the only face of the supreme. It's so weird
exactly.
to hear from Hindus like,
Krishna was definitely Krishna was definitely a hero. Is my thought. He was definitely a
yeah,
hero and to be
yeah,
revered, and he is
yeah,
celebrated. There's no doubt that he must be celebrated because he was the embodiment of Brahman, or the great consciousness that came by. So I think that these people, when they put down gods and even experiences, even spiritual experiences, they just throw it away, saying that it's false. It doesn't happen. People have so many veil over their head, and they're not ready to lift it because they think this is the reality, and that's all the reality is. They just don't want to learn more.
they
you
can't
know
imagine. Most people can't imagine that there is something to experience beyond their senses, and they imagine that we see
exactly.
everything. But the human eye actually can see much more than the human brain can comprehend,
True.
like without training the brain. So the human eye can pick up levels of electromagnetic activity that the brain can't comprehend, so we don't see it. But if we train the brain through meditation and through
True.
spiritual practices, then we'll actually be able to perceive that much more of reality. So we have the tools, we have the ocular nerves. We
True.
just have
True.
to be willing to train our brain, and that's really absent in most religions. And when it comes to Hinduism, um, the video that I've had the most views on, which is like 170 something thousand views on why I chose Hinduism. I get again and again. Well, there's Hindus that are just pissed at each other and arguing in the comment section constantly, which is insane. But I also see that I see more this comment more than any other comment that says it's called Sanatan Dharma. Hinduism is something that was labeled by foreigners, and yes, it is Hinduism. The Hindu word, yes, but just because I call it Hinduism for the sake of ease for people understanding me,
Yeah.
that doesn't mean
hmm
that if I don't call it by Sanatan Dharma, that it's not the same thing. Like I can call it
Yeah,
whatever I
it's,
want.
it's
Like
definitely,
I can
definitely.
I can come up with a word or a phrase. That
Hinduism is
doesn't
much
matter.
more easier.
It's
Yeah,
about the teaching. It's not
I
about
understand.
having to say this or that. I mean, people get
Yeah, yeah.
obsessed with names, words, or how to even say the word or say the name of Thor. People say no, it's Tor. It's like that doesn't matter. That's not
The
the issue at
intention
hand.
matters.
The issue
That's it. Yeah,
it's like that's not the issue at hand. However, I want to relate to a god or a goddess or spirit, and I want
true.
to use even if I make up a name, that's completely fine. It's about that experience,
Exactly.
that back and forth, that
Intention.
learning. But it's
Intention.
ridiculous, man, and that's what I see. No matter whether I'm talking to a pagan, whether I'm talking to a Hindu, or whether I'm talking to somebody that talks. Well, the Quran, it's
So,
always Allah. It's always Allah,
so
nobody
when
else.
you
But
see me, so when you see me, do you see, well, who do you see? Do you see a Hindu or a say just an experiencer or a spiritual person? What do you see?
how do I see you? Um,
Hmm,
I I don't attach labels to people. Like this, I
that's
know you keep on
great.
asking this question.
That's
Um,
great.
like I really don't like. I don't. When I see somebody, I purely communicate with them based on what they want to communicate about, and I try to give my perspective. But there's no like layers of attachment that I throw onto somebody and make this persona that I see them through. So like if I'm looking at you or a Muslim or an atheist, it doesn't matter. It's just
Doesn't matter.
those are all titles
Just the
that aren't
experiences.
they're not a
Exactly.
person. I mean, like those are the
Exactly.
most basic descriptions of a person, but people act like they are the defining factor of a person, but it's not. Your spiritual, religious, political affiliation, these are the most basic ways of understanding human beings. And and people get attached to them and are willing to die for them without even understanding them because there's that tribalistic stint in all human beings that we can either embrace or say, okay, tribes in the past had spiritual ideas that were correct, but then
Terrible experiences.
there's also people that were very like, okay, everybody else but our tribe is evil, and that we can discard that and take the good parts from our past and discard what was ridiculous. And then in the future, that's how we combine antithesis and a thesis to reach a synthesis. Because, we have the antithesis of the past and we have the thesis for what will be the future. And then the synthesis of those two things in the moment is what we have to reach by
Sure.
allowing ourselves to see a better future by understanding our past and realizing the moment. If we can build this, this ladder to our spiritual awakening, then every single human being will achieve it. But it's all about individuals taking up their own spiritual work and not expecting a priest or a Brahmin or imam to tell them, okay, you have to do this or you have to say the rosary this amount of times.
Word.
It's they're putting people between them and God, and I think that's the worst thing that religion does, is that putting these layers of authority between them and the one, I guess you could say, ultimate authority. But I mean, it's a shame because we have so much potential. We have so much fucking potential. But yeah, man. I mean,
it's so hidden, man. The potential is hidden, and we will get through.
oh yeah,
We'll definitely get through. Yeah,
we'll get through this.
for sure.
It won't be easy, and people will have a lot of hard lessons to learn for themselves. So they'll start to realize, okay, this isn't bringing me closer to the divine. It's just placing handcuffs on me and expecting those chains to be the gold that I need to buy myself a ticket into heaven. Which that's not how it works. Chains don't buy you a ticket, and every single attachment is kind of like another chain link. And that's why, I try to get rid of my own attachments. I'm not always successful, and I still have attachments to get rid of. But and that's the journey: getting rid of attachment, seeing reality for what it is, and getting closer to the source.
But when that's true. But when we saying that we're gonna throw off all the attachments, right? I mean, I'm not attached to anything. Like, as I said, I don't intend to marry or anything. But I still have attachments in the sense. How? I want to make music. I want to be free. I want to travel. I want to get a bike. I want to take care of it. You know? I want to do so many things.
I think there's a difference between attachment and detachment in the sense that a lot of those things might actually free you more than they confine you. So, I mean, you might be told that, okay, you wanting to be a rapper or a musician or you wanting to ride a bike is attachments. But I think a lot of the time, compared to the person that you were before you developed these skills, a lot of these skills can actually free you. But you have to not be attached. You have to be not attached to the results. So if you're a musician and you produce some kind of musical art, you produce that just based on what you want to produce to express your liberation. But if you desire the fruits of those actions, like it says in the Bhagavad Gita, you're like, okay, I want 1 million people to buy my song or whatever. That's when it becomes an attachment. That's why
I'll tell you something.
That's why being a musician.
No, I don't consider that to be a musician at all, because a musician or a person who thinks of art will never think about their soul, because he'll never think like 1,000 people are gonna buy my song and that's how it's good. He's not a fucking artist. He's a fucking sold out. He's a fucking sellout. Throw him away, because art comes from here, and it definitely. Well, the art is fucking beautiful, man. Today when I was creating this music, it's like I can just feel the music, and I was just giving him hints, and then he was like, "Are you listening to this? Are you hearing this? Where are you hearing this?" He was asking me that. I was like, "It's just going on in my head," and
I can dig
it was beautiful. It was beautiful, but the thing is, okay, the experience is yours. The experience in your body is yours. So that's all we have. So this body is mine. That's all I have right now. So, but you know who I envy the most? And I would say envy because I envy him the most, and that's Bruce Lee.
I didn't expect you to say that. I expect you to listen to musician, but I think that honestly, Bruce Lee, he he was revolutionary for what he did, and they basically killed him for it. But yeah, man,
Yeah.
I don't know, just as far as martial arts goes, he would punch so fast or like move so quickly, they had to slow down the film
Yeah, no,
so they could catch.
it's
And
crazy,
obviously
man.
he had his
So,
particular
and he was a
journey.
spiritual person. And he was a
Yeah,
spiritual person.
yeah,
He used to talk things like he used to say things like, you have to be like water, because you can crash like water and you can be in a still state.
fluid, flowing.
And Bruce Lee was truly a hero to me, man. And yeah, he's the person I truly envy, in the sense, as he has broke out his bondage, he has gone out of his physical body, he has did stuff that no one has ever did. But at the same time, if you look at musicians, I don't. I used to see good musicians. I used to see a lot of good musicians, but right now it's just getting fewer and fewer. For example, I used to love Linkin Park. I love
Me
Linkin
too.
Park. I love,
Yeah,
yeah, Hollywood Undead and Eminem. Hollywood Undead. You
yeah.
know Hollywood
I mean,
Undead.
I have like three of their songs, but I know, yeah, there's like three songs I like from them,
I'll
but I know who you're
recommend you
talking
one
about.
song that I've been. I'll recommend you one song that I've been listening to recently. It's called VR by Hollywood Undead, and
Is
it's
it
a
recent? Like, did they just come out with that? Because I haven't heard
uh,
of it.
it's a good one. That's why it's on top of my head.
Yeah.
But it has good lyrics too. They write really well. That's why I like them, because even when Eminem wrote this kill shot to MGK, man, it's like, of course, man, it's awesome. It's cool, but it's just hatred. It's just pure fucking hatred. And VR is something more like, we're trying to change the fucking society, turning that hatred into the whole governments or something. It's fucking cool. you know.
Yeah,
But
I see that.
so,
I mean, like, some
you
of
know,
these things are very freeing for us. A lot of people, like, they get attached to even genres of music, and they're like, they weren't willing to open up their minds to like different genres.
that's
Like,
true.
that's another thing that people like can find themselves with. And it's just like, just listen to something. If it hits
Oh,
you a certain way,
yeah,
then
yeah,
listen to it. Like, you don't have to say, okay, all rap is bad, all rock is bad,
yeah,
even all death metal is bad. I mean,
yeah,
those are like those are qualifiers for what you can experience,
yes.
and that has nothing to do with what you're actually experiencing. So it can be very freeing to listen to some songs that other people are just telling themselves that they won't like, and that's a big part of being a musician, is that despite what people are saying about you, you have to be the person that you want to be and produce what you want to produce. That's my view of what being a musician is, but that's true of all kinds of different of walks of life, I guess you could
I
say.
consider myself to be a I consider myself to be an outcast. So I'm always an outcast. I've always been an outcast. So it's like I have my headset on, I put it up, and I boot it up, and that's it. I'm gone. I'm gone just like that. It's like, and then it's just me and my music. There's nothing else stopping me to enjoy my music. But yeah, I could say I'm fucking romantically connected with music, but at the same time, maybe this is a good time for spirituality, to dig into spirituality and ask if even music is an attachment or not. You know?
I guess it really depends on what you like, if you rely upon it and what you rely upon it for and what it does for you. But like music in general, I don't think it can be necessarily be considered an attachment. I think that I think that music is an expression.
Music just
So is art.
flows.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's an expression, man. So if it's an expression of yourself and it's an expression of a reality that you want to contemplate when you're listening to something, then I think that if it is an attachment, it's not nearly as much of an attachment as other things that people attach themselves to, or even the identity of like, oh, I'm a surfer, so I'm gonna listen to this. I'm a rocker, I'm gonna listen to this. I'm goth, so
yeah,
I'm gonna listen
sure.
to this dark music. But like those are labels that are attached to music. But like if you're not concerned with
You
identifying with it
know,
and putting yourself in a box, then I think that it can always
definitely
be
not.
freeing. Yeah, yeah,
Today I was listening to this rock song, and immediately, okay, See, you see, I always like doing that. I like giving myself something and then immediately changing that into something totally opposite, and I give that to my mind just to see how the fuck it feels, you
I do
know?
the same thing with music. I do the same thing. Yeah. I mean, music is about expression, and I think that people can find themselves to what they think expression is. And the sad thing is, for most of human history, people just, I mean, there's always people who like songs and art and stuff like that, but I think too many people are utilitarian. Like, if it doesn't, get me money, if it doesn't, progress me in a
Yeah,
job,
that's the problem.
if it doesn't,
That's
if
the
it doesn't,
problem.
if it doesn't progress me in some way, I they just like consider it like, okay, I'm just wasting time. But I don't think it is wasting time. And I was reading a book recently, and I just read like 20 pages of it. It's called Play, and it talks about how play can actually increase your joy in life, and there's properties of play, right? So one of the properties is apparently purposeless, like there is no thing you're trying to accomplish. Voluntary has to be completely voluntary. Inherent attraction, like you want to do this. Freedom from time, you're not conscious of time because you just enjoy what you're doing so much. And then diminished consciousness of self. So it's not like you think, okay, I'm listening to this. You're
Yes.
experiencing. You're experiencing the moment and whatever play you're a
Everything
part
is
of. So
true.
be producing music, riding a horse, making art, something you're doing for like enjoyment and how it can actually open your mind and improvise potential. You're just kind of improvise. Okay, maybe I want to play this song. Maybe I'm gonna try to see if I can make this sound good, or maybe I can maybe I can draw this, or maybe I can make this video and just mess with it and have fun. And the last property that he lists is continuation desire. Like you want to keep on doing it. So I think that play is, I think it's very vital for both spiritual of life and just life in general. Because if you can take yourself out of just trying to um, do something so-called productive and really just dive into something that takes you away from your identity that you created, and instead allows you to just to become a conscious being for at least a few minutes, maybe longer, then I think that everything in your life can actually improve. But it's a really good book. I'll just hold it up for the sake of it. It's called Play by
It's very nice.
Stuart Brown, but he's a doctor, and I think that he has really good ideas. I actually learned about the book from my lecture professor. He's it was for design too or whatever. Also, I'm going into.
So,
Go ahead.
just a question to you. So,
Yeah.
what do you think is your end goal? What do you think that you wanna achieve when, say, you are 40?
When I'm 40, I hope to have published my book on philosophy. I've created a new philosophy that I label as voidism. And if I was going to, well, this is just a piece of my goal by the time I'm 40, but um, I've already written the book. I'm going to revise it. And I've already tried to get it published by a number of agents, but it's so hard to get philosophy published, and it's kind of dry. But because I'm really an idea-oriented person, it helps me experience things. But it's voidism to me is freeing your kind of allowing yourself to search for the truth without having the barriers of society, but also being committed to pressing your consciousness, pressing your understanding into the void of a lack of understanding, coming out of that ball that of the identity and the ideas that you are so focused on, and really exploring further into science, art, everything to expand your consciousness so that you kind of pierce the void beyond your understanding, so that you expand your experience as a human being, and allowing other people and helping other people to do the same, to get the education that they want to get, to educate themselves, to not to really be a charity as well, as far as freedom of education, not being limited like it is in so many different countries, and that being a value as a human being, educating yourself, reaching for higher levels of knowledge, and helping other people to do the same, and really having the compassionate idea that all division is based on ego, the idea of I, and if we can realize that there are virtues that when practiced, our own virtues that we identify for ourselves and pursue them, we can persevere in life itself and help others to persevere. So if I choose the virtue of, let's say, patience, and I identify patience, I try to gain the knowledge and the practice of patience in my life, and I try to become an exemplar of that virtue. And the Greeks viewed virtue, by the way, as a multi-sided gem, and they viewed it as every single virtue is part of the same thing. These are self-identified virtues. Nobody's forcing it onto you, but it's all part of the same gem. And at the center of that gem, what I propose is really love, compassion, and oneness. And all these virtues, when practiced well and practiced to your own skill and to your own choice, they lead to that interior of love. The key is to identifying what you consider as a virtue and then pursuing that so that you can reach the core of that effort, which is always love at the center of everything. So it's really about knowledge and compassion, basically, and
So
defending people who want to seek freedom of knowledge and information as well. But
so
that's one of my things I'm gonna accomplish by 40. It'll probably be before then, but
oh, by the way, good luck to you on that. But
yeah.
my question for you is, you said that it is bound by love and compassion in the center of the heart. So
Center
when
of the
you
gym,
give
but yeah,
importance
there's
to
the
love,
lotus of the heart where love and compassion. Yeah, yeah,
but I think I understood the point, which is I'm trying
yeah.
to say, right? Because so when you give importance to love and compassion, and I do not know where the hate comes from, because hate is as important as love in this world, and you gotta learn to hate the right thing. You gotta learn to hate the right thing, you know.
I would refer to Yudhishthira.
You cannot love.
Um, I think that I think that hate I think that hate is actually unnecessary, but you can identify something as unskillful. Like that's not a skillful way to live. Living a skillful life and realizing how you can be skillful towards your own ambitions or and ultimately having that core of love you're working
you
toward.
know we are loving everything because we are supposed to love everything, and that's how life naturally is, because life loves everything, and that's why it gave life, because in that pure love came that first soil and that first weed, the plant, or whatever fish or whatever it came by, it came out of love, and it was not of hate. It didn't say be born and just be killed. you know, it came of love. I understand that. Well, yeah. That's anyway. We had a great call, man. We had a great chat.